Hey everyone, Ethan with ModMyMods here, and we're doing a little bit different type of content today. I've been using this product for a while, and I know I posted a little bit ago that I wanted to do a review of this, so the time has finally come. Today, I'm going to be talking about the YeYian Lynx Series 3000 mouse. I got these from the guys at PAX East back in March, and I have been using this mouse pretty much exclusively since we got back. Now, I will come out and say this isn't sponsored by any means. I bought 2 of these with my own money. My girlfriend and I have both been using this mouse since we got back from PAX East earlier this year. Obviously that leaves plenty of time for me to test it out and really put in some thought into what I think about it. Now, I have been a Logitech G502 user for years. This is the 4th one that I bought. The issues that I always have with it is that the glides on the bottom, they always peel up in the corner, so there's always some drag. Not that big of a deal. I'm more than happy to go out and buy another one of these mice, but I figured it was time for me to step outside my comfort zone with this and give this a shot and see what I thought. So we're going to be talking about the ins and outs of this a little bit. We'll go over some of the features, specs, pros, cons, final thoughts, etc. Now, I don't normally do things like this, so we're winging it. I don't have a script. This is all right off the top of the head, pure, honest, unedited thoughts. So let's take a look at some of the specs. Let's see what we got going on here, and we will get into it. So we're here on the product page here on YeYian's site. So as you can see here, $40 for a lightweight mouse. As you can see, it's very, what do I want to say? It's very reminiscent of the Model O, or a lot of the other lightweight mice. You know, you got these cutouts here to reduce some of the weight. Take a look at the bottom view here. Got 4 slides, 4 glides, whatever you want to call them. You can adjust the polling rate here. And let's take a look at what the polling rate is on the specs here. So you do have polling rate of 125, 250, 500, and 1000 hertz. Now, I'll be honest with you. I have not messed with the polling rate at all. I wanted to do very minimal customization to this mouse. I wanted to test it out of the box, adjust some of the basic settings, and call it a day. Obviously, it's 2024. We got to have RGB peripherals. We have to. If you don't have RGB peripherals, you don't have good frames per second. Basic PC gaming math. We do have this braided cable here, which I will touch on towards the ends of the video here. So taking a look at the description, you know, ensures longevity, graded durability, extreme responsiveness, which you can get with the polling rate. It does have a DPI of up to 7200. Now that I personally don't use, but we'll go over some of those options here shortly. So ergonomic lightweight design for better comfort and performance. Now let me see what the actual weight of this is here, because I have forgotten what the weight is. So the net weight is plus or minus 3 grams, averaging 69 grams, or for the folks in the US, 2.43 ounces. So it is pretty lightweight. I will say that. It competes with a lot of the other lightweight gaming mice that are out there. 1 millisecond response time. So, you know, it's not a knock to them, but this is kind of your stereotypical gaming mouse. It doesn't really have too many frills. It's not fancy by any means. It just gets the job done. And that's it. RGB, light up your victory. So we'll take a closer look at the descriptions here. 5 volt, 7 programmable buttons. 5.5 foot cable. Plug and play. See? They're a Spanish company. We got RGB. We got support for XP. For all of you old school guys out there. We all love XP. The sensor. Now this is something that I'm going to touch on later. It says Laser PixArt PAW 3212DM sensor. So it's rated for 10 million clicks. As we went over, it's 1 millisecond response time. Let's take a look at the software real quick. It does have its own proprietary software, just like a lot of the gaming peripherals do, whether it's Razer, Corsair, HyperX. You know, everybody's got their own software where you can go in and you can make your own adjustments. Logitech, another one. So on the side here, the first thing that you can see under the list of settings is the DPI settings. Now, I think this is really cool, even though I personally don't take advantage of it. You can set different colors for different DPI settings. So when you click on the mouse here, on the little DPI button, it will change color. So you have a visual indication of what you are currently set to for your DPI settings. Now, again, I personally do not use that feature. I am an 800 DPI type of guy. I've been using 800 DPI for years. So I have them all disabled. But that's not to say that it's still not a pretty cool feature that you can visually see what DPI setting you have. A little caveat with that, I think, is personally, if I'm playing a game, and again, I don't switch my DPIs, but if you are the type of person that does, I don't see the benefit of switching your DPI and taking your eyes off the game, especially if it's like a competitive first-person shooter. Your eyes are not leaving the screen to look what DPI setting that you're on. So again, it's not to say that it's not a cool feature, but I don't necessarily see the huge advantage of it. But regardless, I think it's pretty neat. Whereas with the Logitech, if you have any experience with the Logitech, you would know that on the side, there's 3 little LED lights that you can customize. So when you shift your DPI, it'll light up 1, 2, 3, and then reset back to the first DPI setting. Of course, we got the lighting customization. You can have it do all sorts of things. Ready, rainbow, steady, breathing, colorful tail, neon, flicker. I'm a very basic kind of guy. I like red. My keyboard LEDs are set to red. My mouse is set to red. So again, it's not a knock at it. I personally just don't find the need to have anything too frilly. A lot of people do, and that's okay. So we can also adjust the scrolling speed, the double click speed, the sensitivity. We can change the polling rate here. As you can see, I have it set to 500 Hertz. Debounce time. Now, this is an advanced feature, so please read the README. So I didn't really mess with this too much, but if my memory serves me correct, when I first looked into this, I believe it's the amount of time from your pickup to your set down if you do play on low sensitivity. I could be wrong, but again, it's not a feature that I really dived into because out of the box, I thought this thing worked great. The only thing that I did was switch my DPI settings and change this to just a static red. As you can see, you have the ability to customize these individual buttons here. So you can change what each button does, which is convenient. Me, I usually have the thumb button set for like a push to talk in game. Makes things a little bit easier for me than having to press anything on the keyboard. So that's the software of it. The packaging, I mean, we can take a look at the packaging. It's nothing too fancy. It's a box. Flips open. See the mouse in there. Gives you some highlights of some of the features. Back, got another picture, some of the specs. That's where I got the weight from. Because if I remember looking correct here on their website, it doesn't say what the weight is. Let's check up here. Nothing. So that's a basic overview of the mouse. As we saw in the pictures, you know, it's your typical lightweight design. I do think it's pretty neat. I will see if I can get this on camera here. If not, I'll just interpose a photo that I took. You have this pretty cool little samurai logo LED on the inside. I personally love that. I think that is such a nifty little detail to have in there. We'll give the overview of it if the mouse wants to focus. There we go. So as you can see, this is the braided cable here. See if we can get that to focus in. So this is where one of my cons comes into play. I love the braided cable, I really do. My only issue with it, and if this doesn't affect the performance by any means, see if I can capture this on camera here, if you can see it, is that the braiding is slightly loose. It's just a little loose. Again, doesn't impact performance by any means. I don't really feel any drag on it. And if you can't tell, I'm having a hard time showing it on camera. So that kind of goes to show how minor it is. Again, such a small con. It's almost not even worth mentioning. But if you do purchase this mouse, I think that is one thing to be made aware of. And speaking of being made aware, when I first got this thing, I was like, man, I don't know what the deal with this mouse is, because my 502, it just glides. It glides so smooth. And even though this thing weighs, I don't even know how much less, considerably less, it feels so heavy. Well, and again, this is, if you decide to go and pick up the mouse, I will give you a little bit of forewarning. On the glides, or the feet, or the slides, or the skates, whatever you want to call them, There is protective film over this. I could not tell for the life of me. I could have swore there would have been. And I sat there and I kind of started picking at it and nothing was coming off. So I said, okay, well, I'm just going to run with it and see how it goes. And after a couple weeks, I was playing, felt something happen. And I looked down and it had finally peeled up. So just keep that in mind if you do pick one of these up. There is protective film under it. So if it feels off to you, that would be why. Peel that film off. The other con that I wanted to talk about that I said that we would mention later is the sensor. I started looking into the sensor after I noticed a couple weird things happening. So I'm a first-person shooter kind of guy. I love FPS games. And every once in a while, I notice that if I were to flick left or right very quickly, I would start aiming all sorts of different ways. It was very jumpy. So I started looking into the mouse to see if anybody else had experienced similar issues. There wasn't really much of anything out there about this brand yet. And so I started looking at the sensor. Now, upon doing some research about the sensor, a lot of people complained that it's not a good sensor to have. Now, you could look at that a couple different ways. You could look at it as them cheaping out, or you can look at it as it's a $40 lightweight mouse. It's not super expensive. You're not going to get the best quality parts inside this mouse. However, I will say that as much as I love my 502, which this one is starting to peel up again a little bit, I will probably buy another one of these. But if this were to die, I would probably buy another one of these as well. Sensor issue and all. It happens occasionally. It's not all the time. And like I said, it's only if I start really whipping around my aim. So if you're a low sensitivity player like I am, keep that in mind. Now, it's never been so bad to the point where I just decide that I'm done using this mouse. I have only not used this mouse since March for about 2 weeks. And that was after a few months of only using this mouse. I switched back to my 502 just to compare, just to see how I liked it. I personally love the 502 for the thumb rest. I love the feel of it. I love the infinite scroll feature. It's the position of the DPI button on the 502 is perfect for where my thumb sits. So I wanted to go back to something that I know and love to see if I would stick with that or if I wanted to start using the YeYian mouse again. And after a couple weeks, I finally switched back. As much as I love my 502, and this isn't saying that I'm only going to use the YeYian mouse from now on, but as much as I love my 502, I kind of wanted to go back to a lighter weight mouse. And that's kind of a con for me, is once I got used to such a lightweight mouse, 502, it just felt a little heavy. So now the pros, obviously it's a lightweight mouse. It's a basic mouse shape. You know, it's not like the 502 where it has the thumb rest. It doesn't have a bunch of programmable buttons, but with that being said, I think lightweight mice are best marketed towards first-person shooter players. You want something lightweight that you can really rip around. And with that being said, you don't need a bunch of buttons on the thing. Couple thumb buttons for web browsing, whether you want to go back or forwards a web page. You want to do what I do and have it set to push to talk. For games like Escape from Tarkov, I have one of the mouse buttons set to delete items from my inventory so I can just quickly drop stuff. I think it's great for first-person shooters. I know RPG players or MOBAs, they usually tend to have more macros. I know a few people that love is it Corsair or Cooler Master, whichever one has like 16 thumb buttons, 16 macro buttons on the thing. Obviously, if you're somebody that likes a mouse like that, this isn't going to be for you. But I would say that if you are on the fence like I was for a few years about wanting a lightweight mouse, but I didn't want to give up my 502, I didn't want to, pay Model O prices and not like it. If you're thinking about getting a lightweight mouse, I would highly recommend this. Like I said, my girlfriend and I have both been using this since we got back from PAX in March. The people at the company are great. They're absolutely wonderful to talk to. We spent quite a bit of time with them while we were at PAX, talking with them, going over some of their products. Their new chairs that they're coming out with look great. Their pre-built computers look phenomenal. We can cover all that in a whole separate video, but today this is only about the mouse. So yeah, I mean, that's it. Like I said, I've never really done a review like this before, and reviews are not something that we normally post at ModMyMods, but I was impressed with this enough for the cost that I wanted to do a review on it. Even if you get it as, like a workbench mouse or something like that. I still think it's a great lightweight mouse that's not too many frills, not too fancy. It gets the job done. It gets it done pretty damn well for the price. And that's that. I don't really know how to end these things. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little review. Again, definitely consider picking one up if you're on the fence about lightweight mice. It's a great introductory cost. The cons don't really get outweighed. The pros outweigh the cons is what I was trying to say there. Like I said, this is unedited. This is just right off the top of the head. We're just chatting. Anyways, I hope you all have a great one. If you watch this entire thing, thank you so much for watching. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. You have a great weekend.